Welcome to the VacCAP webinar series. My name is Amaya Tucha and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Today we will be discussing enhancing fresh blueberry demand through label with hedonic descriptors with Dr. Karina Gallardo. Dr. Gallardo is a professor and an extension economist at the Washington State University School of Economic Sciences and a member of the VacCAP team. Dr. Gallardo's primary research and outreach program goal is to enhance value-added agribusinesses opportunities for specialty crops in the state of Washington. As such, her areas of research are focused on consumer demand analysis and economics of technological change. More specifically, Dr. Gallardo is conducting research assessing consumers' preference for fresh fruit quality and understanding the profitability and various other factors affecting growers' adoption of new technologies, such as new cultivars, improved pest management systems, and labor-enhancing mechanisms. Before we let Dr. Gallardo start with her webinar, I just want to remind everybody, if you can please stay muted and with your camera off. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we will ask those questions at the end of the webinar. And with that, we will let Dr. Gallardo start her webinar.
Thank you, Maya. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to. Can you see my screen?
We can see it, but we can see it as a presenter mode. So if you can just swap the display.
I will do that. Okay, what
Perfect.
about now?
Now
Okay,
it looks
wonderful.
perfect.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, thank you, Maya, for the introduction. Sorry I had some technical difficulties to join. My name is Karina Gallardo, and I will be presenting this work. This work was part of the dissertation to obtain the degree of doctor in economics of my former student, Huijing Ma, and my co-authors are also Elizabeth Canales and Massimo Iorizo. What is the issue? The issue is that studies have shown that in the United States, the per capita consumption of fresh blueberries has increased over the past decades, right? So there is more blueberries being demanded, being bought at the grocery store markets. However, studies also suggest that of all the people who buy blueberries, only 15% of them are frequent buyers. Only 15% of them are the loyal, frequent buyers. So we want to expand that. We want to change that. And we want, to have more people being consumer blueberries more often. Now, there is not much research connecting the sensory quality characteristics of blueberry with the possibility of raising this per capita consumption. And also, research has demonstrated that food labels and descriptors in the package could have an impact on the expectations of consumer regarding taste and in general quality. So with that, I'm going to present what do we know so far before the study. What do we know? What studies have been done in the food marketing literature regarding the consumption of fresh blueberries? The first one, and very relevant to our study, is the role that food labels along with descriptors play in consumers' minds and consumers' willingness to purchase the product. So they say that sensory and hedonic descriptors, which is, indications of how the blueberry will taste or what type of experience they will have when eating the blueberry once they are at home, will actually make them be willing to buy, make them be the food product more attractive, right? So that is on food labels and descriptors. In general, there has been a lot of studies in the marketing, in understanding the marketing of fresh blueberries in the United States. At least this is what I have so far. And most of them, there is a bunch of them focusing on the locally produced movement, right? So here, people prefer, and most of these studies compare, do you prefer something produced locally versus something that it is produced overseas or, far away from your home? So obviously people will prefer the local, okay? Now, in terms of acceptance of the blueberries, the internal or the eating quality, the flavor, the sweetness, the freshness, the juiciness, tartness, and texture are proven to have, a strong impact with how consumers like the blueberry, right? That is to give them, a good experience when eating the blueberries or consuming the blueberries at home. Within this, we also have willingness to pay, right? It is not only how much happy they are eating the blueberry, but if they are willing to pay for it, right? So for this, there are a number of studies that have conducted discrete choice experiments. Okay, discrete choice experiments are usually hypothetical settings where people often respond to a survey, and in this survey, they are presented with a hypothetical grocery shopping experience in when they have to choose in between two products, right? Each with a different combination of attributes and levels and a price. So if the probability of choosing give us an idea or provide or allows us to estimate the dollar amount they are willing to pay for each of the attributes, right? So this is what has been done in discrete choice experiments in fresh blueberries, and also experimental auctions also, where people usually, this is often combined with sensory tasting. People go, taste the blueberry, and then we ask, how much are you willing to pay? Are you willing to bid for this product? And they actually bid for the product, pay real money, and can take the blueberry that they bid for the highest home. Within these types or different ways of eliciting willingness to pay from consumers, there is this new approach called basket choice model. Basket choice model has been used in a limited capacity in the food marketing agricultural economics literature. There are only, so far that we know, 3 studies that have used this approach. So I will explain about this approach, but first I will have to say that the study was conducted doing a survey. Okay, we employ the Qualtrics Research Services. Qualtrics is a company in the United States that have access to, hundreds of thousands of consumers in the United States that are willing to respond to different types of surveys. So because they are such big database of consumers they have, then we are able to tell Qualtrics, please give us consumers with this profile. So that's how we have our screening questions for the consumers we want to have as our sample of respondents for our survey. The first one, they have to be 18 years or older. The second one, they have to be representative of the US population in terms of age, income, and region. Okay, region representing like equally representation or according to census numbers from, say, the Northeast, from the South, from California, the Northwest, the Midwest, and so on. Okay, then they must be the primary grocery shopper in the household. Why? Because the primary grocery shopper in the household has an idea of the prices, right? So we want people who need to know about the prices. And then the other one is that they have had consumed blueberries at least once during the previous year. Why? Because we wanted to have people who are frequent consumers of blueberries and not so frequent consumers of blueberries. So the last two, the primary grocery shopper and the frequent consumptions, will allow us to have reliable, robust results. If we don't have the primary grocery shopper, people who have no idea how much a blueberry costs, or people who have no idea what is a blueberry, and believe me, there are people like that. I was one of them 20 years ago. So they will not be able to give any assessment of what are their preferences, right? So that will create what we call in economics bias estimates, bias results. And we don't want bias results. We want people who have an idea of what are they doing, right? So they are more reliable, our findings. The survey, besides the basket-based choice experiment, had questions about demographics, because we wanted to know, who are the ones who are buying the blueberries, right? In terms of gender, age, income, education attained. We asked about also if they consider themselves physically fit or the level of exercising, if to elicit if the type of self-perceived healthy lifestyle. And also we ask questions about um, uh, diseases, also if they have been diagnosed with a chronic disease like high cholesterol or diabetes or things like that, right? So we wanted to know who are the guys who are responding what to our questions. Then we have blueberry preference, consumer patterns, right? How often do you consume blueberries? Do you consume them in a yogurt, just as a fruit, as a snack, in the breakfast, all over the day, at dinner, etc.? If they pay attention to labels, believe it or not everybody pays attention to labels. They just grab whatever they want and they do not read what the label is saying, and that is important for our study, right? And then the basket-based choice experiment. Now, what is this basket choice experiment? This basket choice experiment, different from other forms of eliciting willingness to pay, is very cool. Why? Because they allow us to actually recreate what consumers face when they go to the grocery store and have to choose among different options of fruit, right? So they have the banana, the apple, the oranges, the blueberries, the strawberries. So they have, different options and they have to choose one of them, obviously, perhaps depending on the price. So that's exactly what the basket choice experiment allows to put a large amount of products, each associated with a price, right? So, and then we present these 6 different times, right? So we tell in the survey to the consumer or to the respondent, imagine you are in a grocery shopping one time. So it's an online grocery shopping and you're presenting these fruits, and then you can put in your cart, like when you are shopping online, whatever fruits you want. So that is one shopping experience. Then we said, okay, this is a different shopping experience. Again, the same product, the same combination of fruits, now with a different combination of prices. Okay, so we presented 14 fruits and we based these 14 fruits on the most consumed per capita fruits in the United States according to the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay, so those are the 14 fruits that we chose to include in the study. Of course, raspberries and blackberries were not among the top most consumed, but we included them because obviously they are super connected, super related. Our hypothesis was that could be either complementaries or substitutes for the consumption of blueberries. We need to include them. So we include those two. Then the prices, to include the prices in our hypothetical online grocery shop, was we did a very thorough investigation of prices in grocery stores in the entire United States during the last week of January 2023, because that is when the study was launched. So participants, when they're presented with these online shopping scenarios, they can choose, I want to put only one fruit in my basket and then check out. I want to put a combination of fruits. I'm in the mood of buying bananas and apples and oranges, and they can put those, or they can say, I don't want to put anything. So we gave the option of that. We gave the option to choose one fruit, a combination of fruits, and opt out. So this is how the exercise looked like, right? We had professionals taking photos of different products. We have the prices associated with each, obviously real prices, okay, after our research. And then this is one option scenario. So they can click, say, for example, on oranges and put the oranges in their cart. And then they will have an indication, oh, your total bill, by the way, is $20, right? And then a reminding that, oh, you say you spend this much money per week in a previous question. So remind that you say you you only spend on average $50 per week on fruit. So make sure you're not being so happy and putting everything in the basket, right? Try to be as realistic as possible. So this is try to, to have some sort of validation of to try to get a really truthful, representation of what they will do in reality. And then, they will have the option to put, or if they decide, oh no, I don't think raspberries, it's being too high, my bill, then they will have the opt out it. So it is an online shopping experience. This is what we presented along in the questionnaire. And then for blueberries, what we did, we have 3,200 US consumers across the country. So we divided this sample of 3,200 in 4 different groups. One group received a label for blueberries that say crunchy. A different group of people received the label of blueberries that say stay fresh, and a different group of people received the label of blueberry that say sweet. So imagine, this is it. This is the control, okay? The control, we don't have any label. But then the group that received the crunchy, they will have here the label that says crunchy here. And they will only be seeing crunchy in the next, in the entire 6 purchase scenarios that we put. So one person will be only, presented one of these. And the other thing that I've been asked is like, only blueberries had this crunchy. The other fruits didn't have any other label. Only blueberries did. Okay, to minimize the noise of this difference between blueberries, because obviously if something says crunchy, it will, attract the attention and will make it less, less realistic. What we did was create this farmer's best thing here. So in an attempt, to minimize the noise that the big label here will create. So we try to minimize as much as possible. There is no study that it is perfect. We have to make trade-offs. So that is what we did. And then this is our results. I am presenting these results because you can say, okay, so people will choose crunchy or will choose sweetie because these are different people. You presented it to different groups of people. But then I will tell you, we try to control as much as possible the socio-demographics of the people. And you can see this here in these columns in the far right way of the table, where you can see, the proportion of females was more or less consistent. The proportion of age distribution, we divided between millennials and non-millennials. Millennials, those who are born after 1982, that is our definition of millennials for this study. High income, all of them had, an equal distribution in all these socioeconomic indicators. Now, compared to the census, we also compared to the census. This is the pool sample. And compared to the census, we have that our respondents have more females, have a little bit less of, those who are making 75,000 a year, have more families with children, and have more people that have attained college, and have more people that are white. Okay, so those are this is the people who responded to the survey. Now, these are the results that we got. So these first results here are kind of like validate what we found in our fruit basket study. To compare to the other studies that have been done using this same approach. So on average, people selected 5.5 fruits, 5% of the times. Remember, we have 6 scenarios per person. We have about 3,000 people, so we have about 18,000 times. Only 5% of those baskets were empty. People were not willing to buy anything. 1%, 1.43% were full. The most selected fruits across all the scenarios, across all peoples, was the banana, followed by the apples and the blueberries. And now, if we want to differentiate of the people who receive, the crunchy label. So the crunchy label, yeah, if they had the crunchy label, or blueberries percent probability or that they will choose blueberries is less. The stay fresh look is the highest, even higher than the control, and the sweetie is in between, right? Less than the stay fresh, less than the control, but higher than the crunchy. Okay, so this is it. So I am presenting this different on the other fruits, not because we say that the bananas were crunchy. No, it is because, you know, this is the people who chose bananas and were looking at also the blueberries that had the crunchy or the fresh or the sweetie. Remember, only the blueberries had these different labels. The other ones are not. These are different people. That's why I presented the probability of choosing. Other questions that we asked about blueberry consumption was, why you don't consume more blueberries? So people who said they didn't consume blueberries frequently, and we have, you know, a trade-off measure, most responses said that the reason why they don't consume blueberries more frequently was price. They are expensive. Price, that was the big reason. The other one was short shelf life at home. Okay, so I am buying this expensive product, and when I bring home, they are spoiled the second day I have them in my refrigerator. I am not happy. I am not buying this again. So this short shelf life at home. Now, when I explain this stay fresh to, you know, last week I explained to my VacCAP colleagues, they told me, well, stay fresh can mean different things, right? And it is true, can mean different things. We didn't anchor, you know, we didn't present an explanation of what a stay fresh or what crunch or what sweetie means, right? But I have the feeling that even though stay fresh, you know, can mean different things for different people, it is related with this thing of short shelf life at home. I have a strong feeling that people were relating these two because this was, you know, the second highest reason why they don't consume more blueberries is because it has a short shelf life at home. Then we have lack of freshness, lack of fresh blueberries available year round, and unwanted package size. Now, these are my results. Please bear with me here. It is very easy to understand. So here, what we did here, remember, each column is a different model, right? Different people, right? So we have a different model for each group of people receiving the survey, and then we have the pool wherever we choose all, we combine all the responses in one. This is, and I want you to look at the pool because this is telling you who are the people who are the most probable to choose blueberries in our exercises. Out of the 18,000, you know, purchase scenarios they had, this is the probability that they will have. So if the price is higher, negative means less, right? So less probability that they will choose blueberries, okay? Price. Female, look at these. Females are less probable to choose blueberries. Females are less likely to choose blueberries in our sample. Millennial, if it's a millennial born after 1982, less probable to choose the blueberries. With at least one child, people who have child in their house, less probable to choose blueberries. Employed, positive. For college degree, positive. White, positive. Okay, so what is this telling us? Telling us, okay, price, yeah, price is a deterrent. And who is choosing more blueberries? Were the males, older than the millennials, with no kids, highly educated, and white ethnicity. Aha. Now, we also asked, I told you, questions about physically fit. Do you consider yourself physically fit? Yes, look, the ones who consider themselves physically fit are the more who are likely to choose the blueberries. Diagnosed with diseases, well, no, they are the less likely. Our hypothesis was like if you have, you know, some chronic disease related to a diet, like diabetes or high cholesterol, you will buy blueberries because, you know, these are super fruit, the super blue, but no, they are the less likely. Interesting. I don't know why. Health and nutrition is important, yes. Those who spend more money in buying fresh fruits on the week, yes, more probable. Organic, those who buy organic, also, yes, more blueberries. Not saying that organic blueberries, I'm saying in general, those who say that For them, organic is important in their food in general, are more likely to buy blueberries. Label non-GMO, also important, okay? And healthy, important. So this is people that, in my opinion, this is how I interpret this, have a healthy lifestyle or are willing to attain a healthy lifestyle, okay? Now, again, this is another impossible table to digest. This is the on and cross price elasticities. Remember, what is elasticity? Elasticity is how sensitive people is to changes in prices. If the change in price is 1 or 1%, and people are willing to decrease their demand by, say, 2%, means that they are very sensitive. They are decreasing the amount demanded in a higher magnitude than the increase in price. Those are very sensitive. But if they increase the price in 1% and the quantities demanded increase in a lower amount than that 1%, say 0.54, means that, oh, they are not that sensitive. You can actually play with the price, increase it, and they will still buy it, right? So here, a lower number means that they are less sensitive to increases in prices, okay? So less bothered by the increases in prices. And recall that the one reason why they do not buy more blueberries is because of the high prices. So when they were presented, the control, okay, negative 0.75. Why negative? Because the law of demand says that if you increase the price, the quantities demanded decrease. And our results also are, congruent with the law of demand. If they are presented the label crunchy, 0.768, higher than the control, meaning that they are more sensitive, they are more bothered. If the price increases and they have the label crunchy, they will not buy it. They will decrease the amount of blueberries bought. But if he has the label stay fresh, it will decrease, but in a lesser amount than in the control. Interesting. So they are less sensitive to changes in prices if they have this stay fresh label. Sweetie, 0.736. The pool is 0.685. Okay, so that is with the elasticities. So I am presenting here two results, right? Who are the ones who purchase blueberries? What are the, the message that you can convey through a label that will make people, less sensitive to increasing prices is the stay fresh. And look, this is the histogram of the distribution of these price elasticities. And look, this is the control. Look how spread it is. That means that there's heterogeneity, right? There is people thinking different. Not many people agree, right? Crunchy, look how spread this is. Sweetie, less spread, okay? There is more people here agreeing, but look at the stay fresh. How tight is this distribution? Here we have not many outliers. So this is people that actually agree that the stay fresh is actually something that will make them less sensitive to increases in prices. Now, as an aside, my Huijing wanted to see, what products are consumed in a bundle. And negative elasticity, we are having here on and cross price elasticity, indicates that they are complementary. So they are likely to be consumed in a group. So this is mostly to show that, blackberries, the raspberries, and the strawberries have negative signs in the cross price elasticity indicated that they are usually consumed in a bundle. Okay. So that is my presentation for today. The key findings are, the 5 reasons why the infrequent consumption of blueberries, according to my survey, 3,200 people, was the price. Okay, why those only 15% of US consumers consume blueberries more frequently is because of the price. The short shelf life at home, the short shelf life of the blueberry at home, okay. Concerns about the blueberry being fresh, also related with this concept about the shelf life, and availability of fresh blueberries in the marketing and packaging size. If we compare what labels will have a more powerful message to the consumer in terms of an indicator of quality that will make them less sensitive to increases in prices is any indication of a longer shelf life at home. More than the sweetie, more than the crunchy, more than the sweet acid acidity, more than the volatiles, more than the antioxidant, it is the stay fresh. Okay? Our results show that also, the blueberries, raspberries, strawberries are complement each other. They are likely to be consumed in a bundle at the grocery store. And this work yielded a publication for this year. That is all what I have. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to respond them.
I don't see any questions right now in the chat, but we'll give a couple of minutes if people want to type any questions that they have. They can also unmute themselves if they want to ask the question. I did put in the chat where the recordings for these webinars is going to be, and also for our previous webinars, they're going to be here. And if you want to check our future webinars, I'm going to put a link here to our website where you can find information about that. I also want to put in the chat. It doesn't seem like we have any questions, Karina.
Amaya, do you have any question?
I asked you all the questions, I think, already.
Yeah, well, let me repeat the questions that I got during the
Okay.
group meeting last week. So one was this mention about stay fresh, right? So stay fresh can mean different things for different people, right? And we did not explain them. Stay fresh means that the shelf life at your house. That is a caveat. We should have done that, right? Because they could be representing different, they could be. The other question was, why not the mothers with kids, right? What is going on there? That is a revealing finding, and that is what we find, right? That we need to attract, as a step, further research is we need to attract the mothers with kids.
You think
To
that's
consume
related to
blueberries more.
price?
That could be related to price, or that could be related to a negative eating experience, right? So that's where, the research on volatiles, on Brix acid ratio is going to be impactful. So that will be, future research.
How about the crunchy? It seems like people were kind of deterred because of the crunchiness.
Yes, that was another revealing finding. We were going to use crispy, but we were talking with experts in the marketing of blueberries, and they told us we have conducted these similar surveys, and people do not understand crisp, use crunch. So that's what we use, and I don't know, I don't know. We also could have, put something else like the healthy or the healthy blue or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That is an actual. We could have done that as well. So there are many things that we could have done different, but we wanted to focus only on quality related descriptors.
Good. Massimo, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have just a question, Karina.
Yeah.
Thinking about the kids, the mother, the kids. Then there was the question. So the survey tell that group is not buying much blueberry, correct? But we in the future could ask the reason to why, or the reason to why it's already part of this.
Yes. So this survey, we asked general questions, and we will not target it. Questions like we asked, why are the reasons why you don't consume blueberries more often? So the main reason was price. The second main reason was shelf life when I buy it when I have it at my house. The other is lack of freshness and stuff like that, right? So those were the reasons that were exposed. And then whenever we did our socio-demographic study on the probabilities of choosing, females and presence of children turned out to be negative. So, but we did not, ask the females with children, why don't you eat more? So that could be another question. We didn't ask them precisely. So as Amaya said, it could be price, it could be, negative experience, it could be lack of freshness and stuff like that.
Okay.
We have a couple of questions here in the chat. So Michael says, how would you characterize the effect sizes of these findings? For those differences that were statistically significant, how larger or important were those differences?
Yeah, true. It is, my difference in between the elasticity is like 0.7 versus 0.5. Yeah, it is not, I mean, stark in difference, right? But it is an indicator. I understand. It is not like, it is not giving us like, oh my God, if we put a stay fresh tomorrow, everybody's going to go buy more blueberries, right? We're not saying it's gonna, but it is an indicator that that's something that is bothering people.
I have a couple of other questions. Will you do further research using size descriptors such as jumbo?
That could be an idea. I don't know. I have also been told that sometimes size could be an indicator of, sweetness or no acid. Sometimes people, although it is not, scientific, and I'm not saying that is happening, but sometimes people who don't know about blueberries try to buy the big ones because they had a positive experience with those. So yeah, it will be a nice extension to buy to test
Size, yeah. This
other
also
information.
Also comparing frozen blueberries and fresh blueberries, time of the year might produce different results as well.
True.
If you compare winter versus summer.
That's exactly right. Yes, and there is no way. Yeah, if we had the money, we'll conduct it every month of the year. But we don't have the money, so we conducted this during the first week of February of 2023, right? And we wanted, for example, to put sweet cherries, but we couldn't because there were no sweet cherries available in the market at that time, and we wanted this to be as close as realistic as possible. So yes, you are right, the time of the year. And that is maybe why in February they were saying lack of availability year round is what bothers me, right? Because it was February in the United States.
Versus
Absolutely
if you
right.
were to do it now, that people are,
Yes,
at least in the United States, consuming blueberries because they're, readily available almost
right.
everywhere.
Yeah, and maybe that lack of availability year round will not be on the top three of reasons why they don't consume more, right? We conducted this in February. Yes.
That's a good point.
Maya, I know that there are probably few representative of the industry more on the other side. I would encourage, if there is anybody that has any comment or idea, just feel free to use this time even as a sort of forum discussion. Don't be afraid of turning off the mic and talk. We are looking for inputs from, especially from the industry.
Yes, you're right.
So I guess, Karina, the price being the main reason, is there something that could be done around price? I mean, challenging to, in the last 1 year, probably price has been a little bit higher in blueberry because of the low production of the Peruvian market. And I'm not sure if that has affected in part.
And inflation.
And inflation, yeah.
And the ever-growing cost of labor. So we are deterred by, here are two sides of the story, right? One is the prices that the growers face, at least in the United States, at least in the Pacific Northwest, the region where I am more familiar with. The main problem, the main challenge right now is labor, right? We have higher labor costs. It is inflationary labor costs, and that is something that is an issue and deters the competitiveness of the Pacific Northwest compared to other regions, especially in those regions where labor laws are a little bit more relaxed. The second point is who is the one, or who are the gatekeepers of the price, right? It is definitely, at least in the Northwest, not the grower. The grower receives the residual price of the supply chain. So it's the retailers, right? And then we have the packing houses, and then we have the growers at the end of the supply chain. So they just receive the residual price of, the price that the consumer pays at the grocery store is definitely not the price. It's like the price that the grower will receive. Obviously, there will be kind of like a scale effect, right? The higher the price, but it is not that reflected, right? one scientist last week was saying the prices, your willingness to pay studies is not the prices that the growers will see. And he's absolutely right? According to a study from the Economic Research Service, the food bill, out of $1 consumers spend in the United States in food, only 14 cents goes to the grower, right? There is the retailer, there is the market intermediaries, the packers, the shippers, the marketers, etc. But only 14%, and that is true, at least for my studies on apples and cherries, that is true for those two goods.
I mean, because you know how there are, you know, the hope is that blueberry will become one of the most consumed berries, but I guess that the key there is to attract those non-consistent buyers. And
would it be interesting if we compare them with some other fruits that are in a way kind of like similar to blueberries? Would be like the case of the cherries. I think it would be a perfect comparison, because cherries tend to also be expensive. They have a short shelf life, and they're not available all year long, like even less than blueberries. I would say that you have more availability of blueberries year long than you have of cherries. But they're also pretty expensive, and I wonder if the consumer feels the same way. And I don't think that they are advertising anyway having the health benefits that blueberries have.
Yes, I think that all the campaigns about the blueberries being healthy were effective in reality, and they attracted this group of people, like the males, older than millennials with higher disposable income who want to have a healthy lifestyle. Those are the guys eating blueberries right and left, right? Those are the frequent loyal consumers. So I think, right? So we need also to expand that healthy to the other groups, right? And maybe, I don't know, maybe the stay fresh or the sweetness will attract the kids.
Yeah, maybe the kids, we have no idea what might not be making the kids eating much blueberries.
Because blueberries is the perfect snack for kids. I mean, it's so easy to eat, and they're small, and I mean, they don't have a peak like cherries do. So I mean, they're so easy to just eat them. So they really are.
And then there is this, you know, what is the intent when consuming a fruit? Like cherries is usually associated with a festivity, July 4, right? It's an indulgence. I'm going to eat cherries because I'm going to celebrate something, right? Whereas blueberries, they are being consumed because I want to be healthy and I want to be physically fit, and then these blueberries are going to help me doing that. So different intention in consuming. It's fascinating.
Well, we have a lot more questions for future research.
Yes, we do.
Anybody else have a question for Karina? Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. I posted them on the chat. You can have all the links there to the recording. We'll probably post the recording from this webinar at some point today or tomorrow. You can also look at our previous webinars if you're interested in other researchers and research that have been produced through the VacCAP project. And check our website for our future webinar. We will have another webinar with Karina in the future. So if you're interested in this line of research, just check out our website and we'll put the information there. June 17th is our next webinar, and we'll put the information for you to register on our website. Karina, thank you so much for presenting today. It's a really fascinating study. We really appreciate your time and sharing with us the findings of your research work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.